Yes, Mr. Mehra, the live is working.
Can you see me, ma'am?
I can hear you, Abritam.
Very good morning to everyone. This is our first attempt when we are going live, and this is the whole idea of going live with all of you is basically to have an open forum where we can discuss, where we can express what was a philosophy why DNI was formed. And also, we are very keen to introduce to all of you our mentors, our team. So before I get into that mode of introduction, I would just take a few minutes to explain the reason why Dreamers and Innovators came about. So in this journey of about 5 years, one thing is very clear, that if you have a dream, if you have a vision, you have an aspiration, you just need to take the first step and then everything else will fall in place, provided you have the conviction to do that. And that's been typically our journey. So 5 years ago, with just the awareness that there is a gap in the education system, we need to bridge that. We cannot wait for somebody else to do that, because today what is happening is that how our children are studying is probably not going to train them for the industry. They're not going to train them for the big world, and even why just the industry and the working professional career, in their personal lives also, because the distractions are immense. There are too many opportunities for them to go haywire. It's so important that we give them a stimulating environment, an environment where they feel confident, an environment where they feel that it's not only those top 2% or 3% of the kids who are going to make a mark. It is so important that we give them a platform where everybody is at par, and not just the confidence that they gain. What they also understand is that what they speak will be valued, and to give them a direction. So that is the reason why Dreamers and Innovators came about. And we worked very hard, but more than just being, our hard work, it's the encouragement of parents which kept giving us the direction to move forward. So today, what we do and how we function, we will be telling you in detail, but just a few things that I think all of you should be aware of is that we are coming up with these modules at this point of time. We have 4 offerings that are coming your way. So we will have the mentors individually speaking about them. We have our favorite Mr. Keith Gomes here, who will be talking about 2 modules that are going to be there, 1 module and 1 SIT. Then we have Miss Anshika Chandrani, whose journey has been incredible from a parent to a mentor. She will be explaining to us about how beautifully she handles the younger age group. And then we have Apritam, who's been our favorite mentor again. He has added skills to this platform, and we are really indebted to Apritam, for he's done a fantastic job and he's again our kids' favorite. And then we have Miss Smriti, who is again one of our new mentors who's joining our DNI family. And I am so much in love with her. So I must tell the entire fraternity who's seeing us right now and who will be seeing the recordings later that, we are actually a bunch of people, the five of us who are here. You have to, we are just thinking, trying to work very hard, thinking out of the box and trying to make learning effective and learning because we are truly trying to bridge the gap. So what we are doing is we are looking at what the current affairs are, what the child must know. So we are trying to give them a very sound understanding of what the world needs. So typically a joke, how we like to put is that at DNI, we are trying to put antennas on their plant. We're planting antennas, which are going to receive signals, receive information that the world needs. Who is Elon Musk? What are his projects? What is happening at Ukraine-Russia crisis? What is communism? What is capitalism? What is 1G to 5G? The topics are immense. There's no boundary to learning. And that's what we do. Each and every session that is programmed, that is conducted, has immense amount of research. So just one more thing I'd like to add before I pass this on to Keetsa to take it forward, is that we do have a few modules which you will see are being repeated. But I just want to say that each of these modules, even they may sound they're being repeated, but there's a lot of information that is being updated. So they may sound as if it's been done earlier, but we encourage the children, even those children who've done that earlier, if they find that topic interesting, for sure should do it. Because when we get down to researching, I have to tell you one thing, that when we are researching or when we are speaking people who are more relevant in that particular field to put our database together, our research is of just about a month ago, and situations are changing, times are changing. So we are updating our work, our records, and that is why we encourage that every child who is interested in that particular field, irrespective, have done it earlier also, should be attending this again. So I would encourage all of you to please, if you have any queries, just put them in our chat box so that we can answer them. Even if we can't attend to it right now during the session, we promise you we will be answering each and every query. So all queries, please shoot them to us. We look forward to answering all your queries. And over to you, Keetsa.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Mehra. So we'd like to now continue on and start off with quickly taking you through our methodology. And then, as was specified by Mrs. Mehra, we shall be talking about the different modules that are going to be sort of taken forward by the various mentors over the coming course of months. All right. So let's get started with the methodology. Just a quick review. I think this is something we've discussed often when we discuss about DNI, that at DNI, the goal has been to make sure that learners and dreamers, so to speak, are always learning by their own initiative, that they are somehow trained to become more accountable about their learning. And to do that, we follow this as our rubric of sorts. All right. We start off with interaction, and interaction primarily means to sort of warm them up to the purpose of learning. Thereafter, we move on to collaboration and competition. Here in DNI, competition has been made into a subtle forum, so to speak. The realization right from day one for Mrs. Mehra and her idea was that we're not here for the top 1% of students of the world. We're here for the 99% students who don't get every single opportunity to pounce at, to be on stage in front of a mic, or to be able to share their own opinions in a group or collective situation, right? So at DNI, the collaboration part is more emphatic. The competition part is, you could say, more of fuel to the flame of thought, where students engage critically with the content and the information that they're handling in order to present something, right? Analysis and presentation is finally, you could say, the most necessary part of developing into today's world, because with so much information surrounding us, there needs to be an ability to analyze it, to infer information and conclusions from it, to have the ability to deduct things, right? To come down to something that can therefore be innovated upon. And presentation is the ability to package things, to be able to deliver them with confidence, with grace, with complete thought and clarity, such that there's always persistently, consistently a value addition being felt. All right. So that's DNI's methodology. Ultimately, our core focus consistently has been to interact, to communicate, to collaborate, to encourage accountability, and to make learning as an experience where children take charge of what they are learning. It isn't, I mean, we've obviously said that we're almost anti the standard lecture model, but it's more so about trying to innovate on the model of interactive learning, where everything is more about self-reliance. You're training someone to learn better. So it's like the really famous aphorism where you feed a man fish, you feed him for one day, you teach a man to fish, and you feed them for life, right? So that's basically the agenda with which we work when it comes to our methodology. Moving on, we'd now like to introduce you to our upcoming modules and our SIT. So I'll start off with the SIT. So we have something known as a Stay in Touch program. Our Stay in Touch program was an idea that Mrs. Mehra came upon because she realized that the senior students that we've worked with as Dreamers usually tend to have very demanding lives. So basically, think of any child who's class 10th and above. They get involved into a lot of co-curriculars because they're building their resumes, or they have a lot of examination demands, or they are trying to sort of test the waters with more interesting things. And also there's just like a general information overload in life now. So it's very easy to be distracted, right? So Stay in Touch is a very simple model. It's a workshop that enables young people to be able to stay in touch with world affairs, to be able to stay in touch with skills that need constant brushing up, because when you're trying to acquire or hone a skill, the best way to work at it is to keep wetting it on the stone. You keep practicing it, right? And at DNI, skills happen to be a very, very core component in the way the learning takes place. And then engaging critically with information. Something that very easily sort of slides out of our hand is that we become passive consumers of data. Through our workshops, through our modules, what we're enabling young people to do is pick up their devices, use the internet in a more acute sense, in a more critical sense, in a more engaging and productive sense. So this time, Stay in Touch will be handling a very, very important subject. It's the 1 year culmination of the Russia-Ukraine crisis. And if you've not had enough information about it on the internet or because of your hectic life, you yourself could also join to learn about it, because like Ms. Mehra again pointed out earlier, I almost feel like I'm repeating a lot of stuff she's saying, but still, we will leave no stone unturned to get you what's the most recent, the most relevant piece of information necessary to have an informed opinion on the situation. Right? That's our goal. And currently, there's a lot going on with the issue. Like, one of the most fascinating things that we recently read was that the International Court of Justice actually released a warrant out for Vladimir Putin for crimes against humanity. So these are not small things. Currently, the world order is being affected by this event. So I would definitely say it's an issue to be aware of, so that you contribute smartly wherever you are to a conversation on the subject, or it actually grants you greater understanding of the world you're in. Moving on, next happens to be a module which is thoroughly exciting, because who doesn't love technology? It's always in our hands. Tech Takeover 2.0, like Ms. Mara said again, is us taking something we worked on earlier, trying to see what we can innovate within it, how to make it more relevant, how to make it more pertinent. And that's what we're doing with Tech Takeover 2. We're trying to really focus on this current rise in completely revolutionizing technology. Now, what people need to really get a grasp of is that currently we are truly at a pinnacle. We are almost turning a page in the way we experience technology, with the rise of artificial intelligence, with the rise of decentralizing internet, and with the rise of efficient internet connectivity and data. We are reaching a point where internet will not primarily be about big companies having an sort of ownership over what we do over the internet, but we becoming sources of information on the internet as unique hubs. So we're going to be covering a vast array of information, starting from just the development of the web itself as a community, as a platform for the world to congregate upon, and how it's going to go from being a centralized system which is run by big companies to a possible future with blockchain technology, where we will be seeing people get more ownership of their data. Moving on, we're going to be talking about how the internet is going to be also changing because of the rise in not just internet speed and connectivity, but again, revolutionary technologies such as Starlink and Project Keeper, which is under Elon Musk and Bezos, right? Which is going to put satellites all across the planet to provide internet everywhere. Now, just imagine the kind of change that will bring into our lives. And lastly, we're going to go through a host of important subjects which require us to do case studies. So we'll talk about the evolution of artificial intelligence. We'll deep dive into the movement from machine learning to deep learning. Here, we'll be picking up case studies of the artificial intelligence laboratory, OpenAI, and go into details on critically thinking about ChatGPT and how it can affect our lives. We're going to be talking about cybersecurity because you cannot talk about data without talking about how it is going to be compromised, how in today's world, cyber warfare is the new form of warfare, and young people need to be aware of it. And finally, we'll be closing with the most hot topic, which is understanding what the future is with the coming of technologies like blockchain and Facebook becoming Meta and the creation of something called as the metaverse, a universe which purely exists in the realm of electrical signals and data numbers. Right. So this is again a module with pure DNI intent of high focus on knowledge, complete methodology being of stimulating engagement for young learners, and obviously becoming updated and forming an opinion on the world that surrounds you. All right. So thank you. That's my 2 bits on it. I'd like to now hand it over to Mrs. Chandrani. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Keith, sir. Now, hello, everyone. I am Anshika Chandrani, and I'm a mentor at DNI. Now, before being a mentor at DNI, I was just a parent sitting on the other side of the screen. I was looking for classes for my daughter to engage in during the lockdown. And through a few WhatsApp groups, I came across this flyer, this pamphlet of DNI, and it suddenly got my attention. It was quite interesting. And the concepts mentioned there were also very relevant, and I wanted my child to know about them. So I contacted Mrs. Mehra for the same. And after having a little conversation with her, I enrolled my daughter for these sessions. So now my daughter started enjoying these sessions thoroughly. And she used to, sit with us and talk about them, but in a very casual way. But what changed the overall perception of these sessions in our mind was once in a family conversation when we were talking about plane hijacks, and suddenly she popped up into the conversation and said that, yeah, I also know about Kandahar hijacking, and she started speaking about it. Now, this was quite surprising that my daughter was speaking in front of so many people, and she was talking about Kandahar hijack. She was not even born then. So this got my attention. I realized that whatever she was taking made sense, and some of the information that she was giving us was news to me also. So after talking to Mrs. Mehra again, I told her that, I'm very satisfied. And now I think I have invested my money in the right place. These classes are very effective. They are very relevant. And so after talking to her for a few calls, we were talking. And then I joined DNI as a mentor. I became acquainted with the community, and then formally became a part of it. And since then, it has been quite an exciting journey. I started taking this module called Speeches of the Visionaries. Kitsa, can we have the flyer here? Thank you so much. Now, this particular module, Speeches of the Visionaries, we talk about famous speeches of the world and the places, the iconic places where these speeches were delivered. Now, this particular session is for a younger age group, 10 years and above. Here we talk about Jawaharlal Nehru's A Tryst with Destiny, Abdul Kalam Azad's My Vision for India, I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King, Steve Jobs' Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish, J.K. Rowling's Benefit of Failure, How Dare You by Greta Thunberg, and Malala Yousafzai's Education First. Now, if you notice, these speeches are very carefully handpicked. Now, these speeches are very impactful and very relevant in today's world. Not just that, they are very easy to comprehend for the younger lot, for younger children. After doing this session, I can guarantee you that your child can stand up in the crowd and talk about these famous people, not just these people, the speeches, and also the main concept that they talk about in these speeches. Let's say we talk about Greta's speech here. When we talk about Greta's speech or a particular person's speech, we talk about the personality. In Greta Thunberg's speech, we talk about Greta Thunberg particularly. We tell them what is her ideology, what is the person's ideology while delivering the speech, what was the need behind it. In Greta's speech, we start talking about her ideology behind the speech. Why did she have to deliver the speech? Where did she deliver the speech? What is environment crisis? What are the reasons behind it? What can be done to protect the environment? Now here, we are not just talking about one particular person. If you see, Greta was a schoolgirl. What was the need of bringing this speech in front of the whole world? What struck her immensely? So children here can connect to young children like Greta, and they are encouraged to take such steps which can bring about changes in the world. Now, how does this particular speech change child's perception? Is that the child then starts noticing that by their individual effort in their everyday life, they can bring about big changes in the world. Now, here we introduce them to the concepts such as United Nations, because Greta's speech was delivered at United Nations. Now, the child gets acquainted with terms like United Nations. What is United Nations? What is United Nations' role in the world? How important is United Nations in today's world? As we all know, it is must to know about United Nations to deep dive into the world today, into the geopolitics today. So that becomes a stepping stone for the child to do the future modules as well. Now, these our modules are not just lecture-based, like Keitsa said. They are activity-based. Whatever we are delivering to the child is in a very comprehensive manner. The child doesn't just sit behind the screen and listen to what the mentors have to say. They research, like Keitsa mentioned. We tell them to access the internet also, compile the information, and present it in front of us. Now here, the child takes the responsibility of delivering in a very, I would say, a formal manner, yes. And the child also learns to work in teams. We have a lot of team activities revolving around the particular session. So the child learns leadership, the child learns team activities, the child learns how to comprehend things. The child also learns a lot of new vocabulary. That your child get up in a big mob and start speaking about these topics that we discuss. Not just the topics, I would say the child would be able to form a lot of answers also. Like if there are comprehension-based questions in the exam, your child will be able to handle that also quite well. Now, in our sessions, we don't expect the child to solve all the world problems, but that would be too much to ask. But then the child obviously learns a lots of things and move forward, stand up in the crowd and handle a lot of things. So that's that. Thank you so much.
We shall now move on to an introduction to the Club of Speakers as an overall larger project, and we'll be having our two young mentors take on the lead for that. So Apratim, over to you, and I'll just start screen sharing. All right, go for it.
Thank you so much, sir. So good morning, everyone. My name is Apratim. I have had the pleasure of being associated with Dreamers and Innovators for close to 2 years now. I was initially, I think, supposed to be here just for one session, focused on debating. But I think over that session, I sort of fell in love with the D&I family. And it's not just the mentors, but also the students, which I think were absolutely incredible. I think since then, I've lost count of how many modules I've sort of done for them. I've seen learners who were initially shy and lacked confidence in speaking up transform into brilliant speakers who have witnessed I've witnessed like multitude of speeches from them that I did not expect coming from them at that particular age. I've seen kids who are like 11, 12, 13, an age in which I personally barely had comprehension. We have kids who have really deep knowledge of a range of topics, from world history to modern geopolitical crises. And I think it's incredible to think about the potential that these kids carry now, because if at a young age they have such deep knowledge and the ability to sort of articulate them so well, we can only imagine where these kids will end up ultimately. Because of which I sort of love the work that D&I does. And I also love how we sort of teach this to kids, which is not just a lecture model, but also making sure that they understand through activities, through making sure that they have access to a wide variety of knowledge, to a wide variety of formats, and making sure that these kids actually engage meaningfully with the sessions and are able to do this well. Our focus on creating a space where participation matters more than competition can be seen as our new module that's coming up, which is the Club of Speakers module that we currently are going to bring. The Club of Speakers is a program that aims to help young learners become more confident in formulating their opinion on various topics and delivering them more eloquently. So with the help of experienced mentors with backgrounds in debating and public speaking, learners can learn how to confidently share their thoughts with the world. We've divided the module into 3 levels. The first level that starts next week, which Smriti is going to be talking about after this, is getting towards kids being more comfortable with speaking, but also more comfortable with things like creativity and critical thinking. Our idea is to make sure that we sort of ease them into this world of public speaking, critical thinking, to make sure that they're more comfortable with the things that we sort of later on bring towards them and ultimately can transform into articulate and eloquent speakers. Level 2 is designed more directly with different formats in mind, where we're going to teach them different formats and specifically be training them on the requirements that different formats ask of them. So these are things like turncoats, debates, group discussions, things that they will need more directly, like they'll need to engage more directly with and have specific skill requirements. In level 3, we're going to focus upon coaching these kids towards competitions in terms of making sure that these kids not only become eloquent speakers, but also now are competing with kids their same age and are able to prove their mettle in the outside world. I think one of the key takeaways from the Speakers Club module is the importance of effective communication. The fact that it's not just about winning debates or arguments, but rather about upskilling oneself to be prepared to handle a multitude of roles and situations that lie ahead. And this is going to be important, whether in school, college interviews, jobs, or even at home. Effective communication is extremely important for success in any field now. And we think giving it to these kids as early as we are helps them in their entire lives and the things they want to pursue ultimately. So therefore, I encourage all of you to join D&I and also to be, register your kids for the upcoming Speaker Club module. Over to you, Smriti.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible. Hi, everybody. I'm Smriti. I will be your mentor for the level 1 of Club of Speakers. Today, I'd just like to go through each module, give you a brief idea of what to expect in